Hello and welcome to Unacademy. Today, India will elect its new vice president. And in this video, let us discuss all that you need to know regarding the second highest constitutional office of the country. According to the Constitution, under Article 63, there shall be a vice president of India. But this office can remain vacant for a brief moment without triggering any constitutional crisis. For example, in July this year, when the Vice President of India resigned from the office on the first day of the monsoon session, citing health concerns, since then, this office is vacant without triggering any constitutional crisis, unlike the office of the President of India. Because according to Article 52, which is considered to be the shortest article in the Constitution, there shall be a President of India. But the office of the President cannot remain vacant even for a brief moment. Someone has to occupy this post at all times. If there is a vacancy in the office of the President, Vice President will act as the President of India. If there is a vacancy in the office of the Vice President as well, someone else will act as the President of India, which I'm going to tell you slightly later. But long story short, the office of the President cannot remain vacant even for a brief moment. But the office of the Vice President can for a brief moment. Constitution does not envisage a situation where whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the Vice President, immediately we need to fill it. Why? According to Constitution, there are two important roles and functions assigned to the Vice President. Function number one, you will act as the President of India whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the President.
On the occasion of Teachers' Day, we are happy to be back with a special offer where the entire course of GS along with CSAT shall be available to you at a lucrative price of 17,999 with up to 12 months of extension. Use the code IAS English in order to avail this discount.
This offer will also give you access to our mains residential program. If you avail a subscription of 2 years and above and clear prelims, then you will get access to free lodging and boarding facilities by Unacademy, along with support for your mains preparation.
Let's say you're not able to clear the examination in your first attempt. Do not worry, your second attempt's preparation is on us. But please bear this in the mind. This is applicable only for those who are availing the subscription for 2 years and above that.
Those who want to avail this offer, you can click on the link provided in the description below. And don't forget to use the code IAS English. Together, let's crack it.
Because this office of President cannot remain vacant. And if there is vacancy, you will act as the President of India. Second role is you will be the ex officio chairman of the Council of States, which means the Rajya Sabha. What do we mean by that? Which means you will preside over Rajya Sabha. Ex officio in the sense, you are not a member of the Rajya Sabha. Then if you are not a member of the Rajya Sabha, how can you preside over the sessions, the meetings of Rajya Sabha? Because you are holding an office of the Vice President of India. And whoever is holding the office of the Vice President will be the chairperson of the Council of States, will preside over the sessions of the Rajya Sabha. Which means your role as the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha is more or less similar to the role played by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, with some difference. I'll tell you one difference, that's all. For example, in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there are members, and these members cause ruckus, pandemonium, indiscipline, hooliganism, shouting, raising slogans, placards. And there are some MPs who come to the well of the house. Now, if you are in Lok Sabha and I'm the speaker, I will warn these MPs, don't do this, don't come to the well of the house. If you come, I will have to name you. I will name you. I'm warning you, I will have to name you. And the moment I name you, you are suspended automatically. But that's not the power available with the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. If the chairperson has to suspend a member of the parliament, for that the house has to agree. Rajya Sabha has to agree. That means members will have to agree by majority that we need to suspend these MPs who are resorting to hooliganism, pandemonium, causing ruckus in the parliament. That's one difference. But there shall be a Vice President of India, and there are two roles. You will be the ex officio chairman of the Council of States, which means the Rajya Sabha, and you will act as the President of India whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the President. But you can't act both at the same time, which means while you are acting as the President of India, you will not preside over the meetings of the Rajya Sabha. Then who will preside over the meetings of the Rajya Sabha? The deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Constitution says something else. The office of president cannot remain vacant even for a brief moment. Someone has to occupy this post at all times. So if there is a vacancy, and what causes vacancy in the office of the president? The president is dead, the president has resigned, or the president has been impeached. This is what causes vacancy. And whenever there is a vacancy, vice president will act as the president of India. Or constitution talks about absence. Absence is different, vacancy is different. Absence means we have a president, but because of some health concerns, he is unable to discharge the duties. Or maybe the president is away on a foreign tour. Has this happened before? Yes. For example, when Dr. Rajendra Prasad, he was on a foreign tour, foreign visit, he asked the vice president, you act as the president of India because I'm unable to discharge the duties of my office because I'm absent. In another case, when he was sick and unable to discharge the duties of his office, he asked the vice president to act as the president of India till I resume my duties. That means if the president's office is vacant, vice president necessarily has to act as the president of India. But if the president's office is absent, if the president is absent from the nation, that does not necessarily mean that vice president will act as the president of India. This is where discretion of the president comes. Which means if the president is away on a foreign visit, I may not ask the vice president to act as the president of India. I don't need it. Even if I'm sick, but I will still perform the duties of my office, I don't need vice president to fill in my shoes. This is where there is the discretion of the president. Otherwise, whenever there is a vacancy, vice president will act as the president of India. But how is this vice president elected? Vice president of India is elected by the people of India, but not directly, indirectly, through their representatives. And where are our representatives? In the parliament. Both houses of the Indian parliament and their members, they are part of the electoral college. Which means who has the vote to elect the vice president of India? All those who are part of the electoral college. And who are part of the electoral college? Members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, we have nominated members as well. We have elected members as well. Doesn't matter. Both nominated as well as elected members, they are part of the electoral college. They have the right to vote to elect the vice president of India. Then the process is proportional representation system by means of single transferable vote through secret ballot. What does that mean? We have 543 MPs in Lok Sabha. We have 245 MPs in Rajya Sabha, which means total 788. Although there are some vacancies, but I'm just taking this number 788 just to make you understand how the vice president is elected. Although there are cases where Shiromani Akali Dal and its lone MP in the Lok Sabha, she has decided to boycott the election. Why? Because of Punjab floods. BRS of KCR, BJD of Naveen Patnaik, they have decided not to vote in these elections, to abstain from voting. Why? Because they want to be seen equidistant from both the BJP and the Congress, from both the ruling party as well as the opposition. So we will still look at 788 as the number just to understand how the vice president is elected. And let's assume that all these votes are valid. Total valid votes. Let's assume all these 788 members who have the right to vote, all their votes are valid. Valid in the sense, in the last vice presidential election, 15 votes were invalidated because the way preference was to be given on the ballot papers, the members made some errors, made some mistakes, which invalidated their vote. Let's assume all these 788 members are voting, all these votes are valid. Now, what is the formula? How many votes should a candidate get in order to get elected as the Vice President of India? That is something that we call quota. How many votes should you get? That is decided by a formula called total valid votes divided by vacancies plus 1 plus 1. Let's assume all these votes are valid, 788. How many vacancies do we have? We have to elect one vice president, which means one vacancy, plus 1, which means 394, plus 1, 395. 395 is the quota, which means now two contesting candidates, one from the ruling party, one from the opposition, one the current governor of Maharashtra and the other former judge of the Supreme Court. Whoever will receive this quota of votes, 395, is the Vice President of India. And this election takes place through secret ballot. And what is the secret ballot? That means when the members of the parliament will have to vote, they don't have to reveal their choices to anybody. The moment they reveal this choice, their vote will be invalidated. This is where you may have a question. Sir, what about whip? Whip is issued in case of bills that are pending in the parliament. Whip is issued in case of some no confidence motion or a confidence motion. Is whip issued in case of vice presidential election? No. Why? Because since the voting is through secret ballot, you will never come to know whether your party members have voted according to your choice or not, according to the candidate you have selected or not, or whether they have voted according to their conscience. So the idea is in presidential election as well as in the vice presidential election, members of the parliament should vote according to their conscience, which means the whip is not issued and in any case is not binding in these elections. But there is something called preferential system, single transferable vote. What does that mean? Listen to me carefully. Let's assume that there are three candidates contesting the election. Three candidates. Here we have the candidate. Here we have the preference. Candidate is A, candidate is B, candidate is C. Let's assume there are three candidates contesting the election. All the members of the electoral college, they will be given this ballot paper where they will have to mark the preference. And what is the preference? I say my first preference is A, my second preference is C, my third preference is B. And then what will happen? We will count all these votes, but first preference votes. How many first preference votes did A get? How many first preference vote did B get? Likewise for C. If while counting, A gets 395 plus votes, A is the winner. But let's assume A gets 350. B gets, let's say, 300. C gets the remaining votes. Because 350 plus 300 means 650, which means we still have 138 remaining. And C gets 138. Now, who is the winner in this case? Because nobody has received this quota of votes known as 395. In this case, what will happen? C will be eliminated from the context. You're eliminated from the contest. But those who gave first preference to C, who was their second preference? Those votes will be transferred. Let's assume for a while, all those MPs who gave first preference to C, their second preference was B. That means the votes will be transferred to B. Now B has 438, which is more than the quota of 395. B is the Vice President of India. But since in this case we have only two contesting candidates, we will see that in the first round itself, we will have a winner, and the winner is Mr. C.P. Radhakrishnan, the governor of Maharashtra, the nominee of the ruling political party. He is the next Vice President of India. So the Vice President of India is elected by the people of India, but not directly, indirectly, through the members in the Electoral College, which consists of members of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, through a system of proportional representation system by means of single transferable vote through secret ballot. Sir, why do we not hold these elections through EVMs? Because our EVMs are not designed to ensure this kind of preferential system. Our EVMs are designed to give vote for one individual. That's it. Press the button and your vote will be registered against one candidate. There is no such design of the system which talks about preferential system. That is why EVMs are not used. And that is why these MPs should be given training. How do you vote in these vice presidential elections? How do you give the preference? Because it is not necessary that you have to give first preference, second preference, third preference, fourth preference, as there are the candidates contesting the election. No, but you have to give the first preference. If you don't even give the first preference, your vote is invalidated. But it is not necessary for you to give second preference or third preference. That is why yesterday, opposition as well as the ruling political party gave training, mock voting for its members to tell them, train them how to vote in these elections. And we will then have a winner, and the winner will be the Vice President of India. But who is qualified to contest the election to the post of the Vice President of India? Constitution says you should be the citizen of India. Now, it doesn't say whether you should be citizen by birth or by descent or by naturalization or by registration or by incorporation of a foreign territory. You are a citizen of India. Regardless of through which route you became the citizen, if you are the citizen of India, you can contest the election to the post of the Vice President. Plus, you should be of 35 years of age. Plus, you should be qualified to become the member of the Rajya Sabha. But sir, you said Vice President is not the member of the Rajya Sabha. I still maintain the same thing. He is not the member of the Rajya Sabha. But here he should be qualified to become the member of the Rajya Sabha, which means your name should be mentioned in the electoral rolls in any parliamentary constituency of this country. And at the same time, you should not be holding any office of profit. For example, if you are the chairman of Indian Statistical Institute, you have to first resign from that office, then you can contest election to the post of the Vice President. Because while holding office of profit, you are disqualified from even contesting elections. But sir, the current vice presidential nominee, he is the governor of Maharashtra. He did not resign. So how can he contest election? He is holding office of profit. For that, we have an explanation. Constitution says a person shall not be deemed to be holding office of profit only because you are a president or a vice president or governor of a state or a minister, either at the union or in the state level. What does that mean? That means if you are the vice president, you can contest election for another term of vice president. That does not mean since you are a vice president already, you are holding office of profit and as such you can't contest elections. No. Similarly, governor of a state can contest election to the post of the vice president. But then can he hold both these offices at the same time? No. Once you are sworn in as the Vice President of India, you shall be deemed to have vacated the office of the governor. Which means you don't have to necessarily resign. Once you assume the office of the Vice President, you will cease to remain the governor of that state. Similarly, you can be the member of the parliament, member of Lok Sabha, member of Rajya Sabha, member of Legislative Assembly, member of Legislative Council. Even then you can contest election. And if you get elected, the moment you enter office, it shall be deemed that you have vacated your seat in the legislature. These are not offices of profit. And once you are elected, your term of office, your tenure is for 5 years. That means for 5 years, you will be the Vice President of India. But even before 5 years, there may arise a vacancy. Vacancy can be because of resignation. For example, the former vice president resigned citing health concerns, resigned from his office by submitting his resignation to the president. And the moment president accepts your resignation, it shall be deemed that from that moment you cease to remain the vice president. Or the vice president may die, or the vice president may be removed. President of India is removed on the grounds of violation of the constitution. On what grounds is the vice president removed? The judge of the Supreme Court or High Court is removed on the grounds of proved misbehavior and incapacity. On what grounds is the vice president of India removed? Such an important post that constitution does not even mention the grounds for removal. No grounds are mentioned, which means it is open ended. On any ground, you can be removed. For example, last time, against the same vice president who resigned from this office, opposition introduced a motion calling for the removal of the vice president of India, saying you have been partisan in your approach. You are prioritizing the ruling party members and not us. You have violated the dignity of the office. If that happens, Rajya Sabha will have to pass a resolution by effective majority. Which means, how is the Vice President of India removed? Vice President of India is removed if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by effective majority. This resolution then should be acceptable to Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha should pass a resolution by simple majority, and then Vice President is removed from the office. Which means the Vice President is removed from his office if a resolution is passed by Rajya Sabha by effective majority, acceptable to Lok Sabha by simple majority, Vice President is removed. Sir, what happened when the opposition introduced a motion calling for the removal of Mr. Dhankar? Who was this motion submitted to? Deputy Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. Deputy Chairperson rejected that motion. On what grounds? Various grounds. One such ground was spelling error. You could not spell the name of the vice president correctly, and on that ground, I am rejecting your motion. We will not remove the vice president. But there were other grounds as well. For example, you have to give 14-day notice. Which means if today Rajya Sabha MPs write to the deputy chairperson that we want to remove the vice president, 14 days notice should be given to the president. After the expiry of that 14-day notice, then voting can take place in the Rajya Sabha. The deputy chairperson said, since hardly few days are left for this parliamentary session to get over, so we can't give 14-day notice to the vice president. And as such, I'm rejecting your motion, which means you should have come to me earlier so that we can have ample time, 14-day notice to the vice president. Then we could have voted. Then the matter would have reached the Lok Sabha. They would have passed the resolution by simple majority, and the vice president would have been removed from the office. But long story short, vice president's term is 5 years, subject to he may die, he may resign, or he may be removed under Article 67 of the Constitution. But today, when the vice president would be elected, he has to enter the office, but before entering the office, he has to subscribe to an oath or affirmation. Oath is for believers, those who believe in God. Affirmation is for non-believers, those who don't believe in God. I swear in the name of God, oath. I solemnly affirm, affirmation. President takes the oath to protect, defend, and preserve the Constitution. But Vice President does not take the oath to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution. He takes a simple oath, which is, I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution as per the law established, and then I will faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. This is the simple oath administered to the Vice President-elect by the President of India, and then your term starts. And from this moment, your term is for 5 years. But what if there is a contingency? Something that I told you right at the start, that I will tell you slightly later. Now is the time for you to know about this. According to Constitution, there shall be a President of India, which means this office cannot remain vacant even for a brief moment. Right? If there is no president, Vice President will act as the President of India. But what if there is no Vice President either? This is a contingency. This is something that Constitution makers did not provide any recourse for. But Constitution did say in Article 70 that Parliament, you have a power. And what is the power? You can enact a law, and through that law, you can deal with other contingencies. And this law was put to use in 1969. This article was put to use in 1969 when a law was passed by the parliament called President Discharge of Functions Act 1969. What happened? President Zakir Hussain died. Now, who will act as the President of India? Vice President V.V. Giri. At that time, Congress was in an internal turmoil. There were two camps, one led by Indira Gandhi, the other led by the syndicate, for example, Kamraj, Morarji Desai. The Congress party decided that we will field Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as the vice presidential candidate. But Indira Gandhi wanted to assert her control over the party. She said, all the members of the Congress party should vote according to conscience. You don't have to necessarily vote for Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. Vote according to your conscience. And what is that conscience? Indirectly, she is telling the party members, vote for V.V. Giri. Why? Because V.V. Giri, who was acting as the President of India, he decides to resign so that he can contest election to the post of the President of India as an independent candidate. But then we realized, if we don't have the President, Zakir Hussain, if we have the acting President, which is V.V. Giri, and he also wants to resign, who will act as the President of India? In that case, this law was passed. And this law said, in absence of the Vice President, there will be Chief Justice of India acting as the President of India. In absence of the Chief Justice, senior most judge of the Supreme Court will act as the President of India. And that is how Justice Hidayatullah, who was the then Chief Justice of India, acted as the President of India. But once we had V.V. Giri becoming the President of India, he came back to the Supreme Court as the Chief Justice. Which means, long story short, there shall be a President of India, which means this office cannot remain vacant even for a brief moment. Someone has to occupy this post at all times. If it is not the President, then Vice President. If it is not the Vice President, then the Chief Justice of India. If it is not the Chief Justice, then any senior most judge of the Supreme Court. And we have 33 judges of the Supreme Court. At least one of them would be alive to act as the President of India. But sir, I have a question. Something, if I can read your mind. Sir, there is separation of powers mentioned under Article 50 of the Constitution, which talks about separation of executive and the judiciary, which means the same person cannot be part of judiciary as well as part of the executive. How can Chief Justice of India, who is part of the judiciary, can also be part of the executive by acting as the President of India? This can be a question on your mind. But the fact is, Chief Justice of India resigns and then acts as the President of India. So while you are acting as the President of India, you are not the Chief Justice of India. And this is only a temporary position because someone has to occupy this post at all times. And once we elect someone else, you will come back to the Supreme Court. But you cannot hold two offices of executive and the judiciary at the same time. Today, you might witness allegations of vote chori, maybe by the opposition or by ruling party, depends upon who wins. Sir, isn't it too obvious who will win? Yes, but in rare circumstances, what if there is cross-voting? What if those who are part of the BJP or the JDU or the Chirag Paswan's party or the TDP, they instead vote for Justice Reddy? So there is cross-voting and Justice Reddy is elected as the Vice President of India. Rare. But what if it happens? And what if then there is an allegation, there is a dispute regarding this election? Constitution says under Article 71, any doubt, any dispute with regards to the election of the President or the Vice President, you have to file that petition in the Supreme Court, and the decision of the Supreme Court shall be final and binding, which means you can't approach a High Court, you have to approach the Supreme Court directly. Towards the end, one important thing, let's compare the Vice President of India with the US Vice President. Indian Vice President is the ex officio chairperson of Council of States, which is Rajya Sabha, and Rajya Sabha is the Council of States, is the elder house, is the important house. In United States, they also have a bicameral legislature. That means two houses of US Congress. One is Senate, the other is House of Representatives. Senate is upper house, House of Representatives is the lower house. Just like in India, Rajya Sabha is the upper house, Lok Sabha is the lower house. There also, Vice President is the chairperson of the Senate. Just like in India, we have the Vice President who is the chairperson of the Council of States. In India, in case the President's office is vacant, Vice President will have to act as the President of India. Act in the sense temporary period, maximum for a period of 6 months, within which we have to elect the new president. But in case, for example, recently there were a few news stories wherein Donald Trump was not seen anywhere for a few days, which led to speculations and conspiracy theories that maybe Donald Trump is not healthy, maybe Donald Trump may die. In case Donald Trump dies and the term of Donald Trump is 4 years, let's say after a year President Trump dies, then Vice President J.D. Vance will be the President of United States for the remainder of the term, which means for 3 years. That's the difference. Which means in India, Vice President will act as the President of India for a maximum period of 6 months. But in United States, in case the President is dead, Vice President will be the next President of the United States for the remainder of the term. And if you're preparing for the civil services examination in mains 2022, from this topic, this question was asked in the examination. Discuss the role of the Vice President of India as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. This is all that you need to know regarding the office of the Vice President of India. If you have enjoyed this video, got benefited from this video, do press the like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, and share your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Till then, have a great time. All the best.